Hi, it's Lee, and welcome to the Tesla Economist. What have we invested into? I bet if you ask 10 different Tesla investors, you might get 10 different answers. However, a lot of those answers may have some commonality, a lot of overlap, or similar inference. I invested in Tesla because I thought EVs were the future, and Tesla was so much further ahead than anyone. Well, there was practically no one else back then to even be ahead of. Of course, there was the rhetoric that legacy autos could come in at any time and eat Tesla's lunch. But they just couldn't be bothered yet, as it was just some niche and didn't even appear profitable, of which it wasn't really back then. So why bother? Of course, it ended up proving to be very difficult, as everyone is still discovering to this day. I was right. EVs became a lot larger segment, and Tesla maintained their lead, or even increased it. And they also became very profitable, with some of the highest margins in the auto industry. But others invested in Tesla as a tech company rather than a car company. I was an avid auto enthusiast, and I did pretty much invest in Tesla as a car company, although understanding it is not just a car company, of course, and that Tesla make a smart car too, viewing it as the equivalent of smartphones, and will do for cars what Apple did for phones. Although I'm not sure people cared that much in the end. Perhaps a moderately sized screen, navigation, and a smartphone connection is good enough for most people as far as tech is concerned, and looks and brand are more important. That is investing, the sport of trying to predict the future and then make a bet accordingly. I love the smart car technology that comes with my Tesla, but perhaps it's not as important to most people as I thought, as there's plenty less smart cars still selling, and some that are catching up more too. Of course, Tesla was electric as well, and offered amazing ranges, and an impressive network of chargers, making long-distance travel a possibility with electric. Anyway, that was my theory, and why I bet on Tesla. But others saw it more as a software company than the actual hardware. Some put out crazy price targets that were laughable at the time, except Tesla ended up beating them, and earlier. But these price targets were based on FSD and robotaxis. Tesla hit those targets without those features. Tesla looked to grow EVs to insane levels. We were told quite clearly 50% growth year over year, and even more some years. This was clearly stated many times, in fact with some pretty substantial physical evidence to back it up, like the largest factory in the world being one of them. Not only that, cells that would cost even less and have higher energy density, and Elon was wrong with all his targets he gave us. Unfortunately, these factories cost a lot to run, and are not doing high quantities in production in order to reach the right economies of scale, so the margins are low from these factories. And now, since Texas is also making the 4680 cells, the margins are likely even lower. In fact, I bet 4680 cells are quite expensive at such low quantities. So despite not seeing evidence that Tesla can achieve this growth, the stock price seems to be recovering nonetheless, which tells us that Tesla is not valued as some high-growth, high-margin car company, which, to be honest, it looked very much like that to me a while back, and was very exciting to see. The stock price didn't care. In fact, it cared significantly more about the impact Twitter had, which is somewhat nonsensical. As long as the business fundamentals are there, then it will thrive and grow. Anyway, Twitter is just about in the rearview mirror now, and the stock is better for it, with technical analysts saying it's going to run to 300 now. In fact, I think if we had Model 3 Highland launch, Mexico breaking ground, advertising, and Cybertruck delivery event, it could run to mid 300, assuming the economy holds. And the economy may do more than just hold. The markets might go for another bull run even. Yet we don't have 50% year-over-year growth. Alright, we might see 30% growth this year still, which is not too bad, although minimal ramping throughout the year. As for next year, there's still capacity at Berlin and Texas, so Tesla just needs some more cells, and perhaps Cybertruck might contribute a little too, but basically impossible to see 50% growth in 2024. So high EV production growth isn't the investment here, and my research from investor sentiment would agree. It's all about the future. Just give Tesla enough time to get these things sorted and it will be insane. The industries that Tesla are disrupting are the biggest in the world: energy and transport. Oh, and labour potentially too. It's all coming together. Tesla have so much capital and cash flow, along with resources and the best engineers on the planet working around the clock to solve these challenges. Accompanied with a highly driven, determined, charismatic leader who has every global connection he needs to the highest scale. even the most followed person on Twitter, accompanied with a track record with a string of previous successes and slogans like "Don't bet against Elon." The inference is that it will take time, but Elon and Tesla will get there. They will hit the targets being unimaginable wealth for all Tesla investors, as long as they've been patient enough. You just need to hold for the rest of this decade, and then no doubt some of these incredible areas of the business will pay off and take it to the next level again, like they have in the past time and time again. The Model S and X leveling up from just the Roadster, then the Model 3 from there and the Model Y from there, along with technology evolving parallel to production like FSD and Dojo. FSD is an incredible concept and something we see in movies set in the future, but the concept of robotaxis takes it to another level again. Anything that can replace full-time human labour has massive value. Just look at how much a full-time Uber driver makes. That's the value of a robotaxi, if the Uber driver didn't need to sleep. Although when they sleep, demand is relatively lower. But not only that, the largest expense for an Uber driver is fuel. If it's a Tesla, then it costs even less again. These robotaxi numbers get big, and sure, I don't think they will replace all transport anytime soon. I mean, markets like India are going to be insanely tough. But even 10 million operational around the world in areas that are easier, well, if they can make $30,000 a year in fares, then that's $300 billion a year, also known as a really big number, which is why some people place the potential for Tesla to hit a $10 trillion market cap. It's hard to resist investing in a company aiming for this. Who would want to miss out? And the CEO is convincing and likely believes he can achieve it. Along with the AI days, we get to see just a glimpse of the levels of complexity Tesla are delving into to achieve this, as it is really hard to do, but obviously worth it when you look at those numbers again. And yes, there's also the potential Tesla sell 20 million EVs a year at $10,000 gross margin. That's $200 billion gross profit. And then energy too. And then robots, which could be bigger than everything else combined. So I'm of the belief that this is the investment. A massive asymmetric investment with 10 to 20 times return perhaps as early as the end of this decade. This is what everyone is prepared to wait for, and not concerned about year-over-year growth as early as now, when Tesla still have so much more left to see manifest. But I think I can sum it up as gen-free production, which is extremely low-cost production with very high output, a way to get enough EVs produced for numbers of up to 20 million a year, whilst costs are low enough to also have the demand to meet that supply. 4680 cells with dry battery electrode process, a way to dramatically reduce factory size and footprint so it's feasible enough to scale up battery production for enough cells for an electric future. FSD, software as a service, selling more time for drivers to have the ability to concentrate on other things whilst in the car. Robotaxis, replacing labour in transport. Energy, lower cost, more abundant, decentralized, renewable, cleaner energy. And robots, as Elon says, so hard to fathom, he can barely understand what an economy would be at that point. All this is backed by governments with climate change movements. Fossil fuels are not going to last forever. If oil ran out tomorrow, I imagine the vast majority of people wouldn't survive months. There needs to be an alternative eventually. These are Tesla's missions, and the investment is long-term. These investors are patient and going to wait the necessary time, and are not so concerned about the minor improvements we see from month to month, and thinking long-term, as the potential upside significantly outweighs the downside. If this is the play, then it's just a waiting game, and a lot of Tesla investors out there simply get it. Hence, why they say just wait until 2030, it's still early days. Other investments also look around to make sure they understand the investment too. Everyone wants to know what the value of this company is and work out how and where it is derived, and what others see that they don't, as no one wants to miss out. They're trying to judge what the market thinks Tesla is, and trying to interpret that. And I think that is what I've done in this video. But look forward to reading and hearing everyone else's opinion on a succinct summary of what Tesla is as an investment. Hi there, I'm using Verbalate AI video translation and lip sync software. It's pretty amazing. Watch this. I can translate my videos into other languages. For example, I am now speaking Hindi.
नमस्ते, मैं पहली बार हिंदी में बोल रहा हूं, लेकिन वर्बलेट इसे इतना आसान बना देता है.
Or how about Spanish?
Hola, vaya, increíble.
También puedo hablar español. Sign up at verbalate.ai today to gain early access to trial the product for creators and strategic partners, and gain the ability to translate and lip sync videos in all major languages. You can view the info in the description below.